Welcome back, trainers! So we're going to be doing the Power of Ferrothorn. Fairly interesting new Gen 5 Pokemon to go over here. Now, it's not going to be too useful going up against gyms and raids, but possibly to drop in a gym. We'll be going over all that here. It all started with this trade with Scarlet, and I was able to get decent PvP IVs, in which I decided to invest in it. So, Ferroseed is going to be able to hatch at 10-kilometer eggs. It absorbs the iron it finds in rock while clinging to the ceiling. It shoots spikes when in danger. Ferrothorn. It attaches itself to cave ceilings, firing steel spikes at targets passing beneath them. Wow, all these Pokemon we've been covering just sound so delightful. Let's listen to the cries. Okay, so seeing that this Pokemon is going to be more useful for PvP, let's go ahead and head over to Pvpoke, a very useful website to come up with good ideas for teams and see where it does land in the meta. So I will have a link in the description as well. As you can see here, it is ranked around 40 or so, so it can show some potential, and I'm going to tell you this from my experience, it's okay. It will find a bit of trouble because of those fighting types, as well as a bit of fire amongst the other Pokemon that we do have in the Sinister Cup specifically. Alright, so let's go ahead and see where it does land amongst, the whole general PvP scene. It's going to be able to win 49, 52% of the time, loses 60 or 46% of the time. So it's, it's a hit or miss. It really depends on the specific types that are allowed. Now, say Sinister passes, how good is it in general for the Great League? Well, it's ranked 61. Not horrible. It's going to be best to go up against, let's see here, Wigglytuff, Hypno, Venusaur. That's a big one. Same with Probopass and Swampert. Those are all heavy hitters that you want to have some sort of Pokemon to go up against, and Ferrothorn seems to fit the bill, but obviously going up against fire, it's going to get demolished being a steel and grass type. Taking a look at the stats, it is going to be a grass and steel type, max CP 2,321, so possibly some Ultra League, usability. Attack 158, defense at a whopping 223, that's pretty good, and stamina, it's okay at 179. Now it's going to be weak to fighting. Extremely weak to fire because both grass and steel are weak to fire, but those are the only two weaknesses. Taking a look at all of the resistances: resisting grass, dragon, electric, fairy, normal, poison, psychic, rock, steel, and water. For the quick moves, we have Bullet Seed and Metal Claw. For the charge moves, Thunder, Flash Cannon, Vine Whip, and Acid Spray. So it does have some good usability here, all right, regarding shield baiting, regarding lowering the defense, stab, as well as coverage like Thunder, for those flying types. Grass is not going to be very effective. What do you want, Bullet Seed or Metal Claw? Well, personally, I've been testing out both. Bullet Seed's going to grant you a little bit more energy to fire off those charge moves a little faster. Metal Claw can find some usability as well. So you go up against a Gardevoir, you'll be hitting them super effective. Steel damage, but otherwise for an open league or another specific cup, it really depends, yet again, upon which types are going to be eligible. So as far as my experience using this thing, I'm enjoying it. I like picking off meta Pokemon. Yes, I didn't go into my last tournament with a bunch of off meta because I was trying to take that W. So back over here on Pvpoke, let's go ahead and do a simulator. We're going to put it on champion. That's the only way to go, the hardest setting. So I do have Ferrothorn, Poliwrath, and Alolan Marowak on my team. And the bot system is going to be using Steelix to start off here. And this is pretty fun to test out Pokemon before you power them up, or just to see how they perform. It might be a little awkward at first because it is in this kind of point of view, not what you're used to, but I assure you it's pretty much going to be simulating a battle for you. Just do a few and get used to it. So we are looking pretty good here. It switches into Cresselia, and I stay in because I resist the psychic moves. As far as the ice moves, it's still going to hurt, but we'll just see what's going to happen here. So I do not shield, and then we're able to get to another Power Whip. All right, and this is what I've been using to test out Ferrothorn. I don't really do this too often. The last time I did test this out was in Washington, D.C., testing my team before I did go to the battle in every situation possible. So we do go down, Alolan Marowak does come in here. We're going to be looking at real battles, all right? I just wanted to bring you Pvpoke resources here because they are a very useful website for tools, and I use them quite often. I know I say I don't like to use simulators or things that predict how to take something out. I like to just go in there and, you know, figure it out myself. But, you know, it's also good to run a few tests to see how things are going to work instead of being completely ignorant to a situation, right? So we're looking good here. We're going to be able to beat this expert mode bot and take the win. Ferrothorn did pretty good. It had a good lead, and then it switched into Cresselia, and we were still looking pretty nice, pretty fun. And it shows you all the stats afterwards here, so pretty interesting stuff. All right, taking a look at our first battles, the official ITT. So I'm going to be discussing the battles as well as my thoughts on what else you can do with this. So I lead with Haunter, he leads with Bastiodon. Not good for me, seeing that Haunter is such a glass cannon. Yes, these battles are going to be sped up. That's just the way it is right now, guys. It'll take too long. He comes in with Claydol. I do decide to go with that Ice Punch. Super effective. We are locked in here. There's nothing else we can really do in this situation. So regarding Ferrothorn, if you want to make one now, what would you want to do? Which basically the Sinister Cup. Is it something that you want to go into the Sinister Cup with? Not necessarily. I'm going to tell you this right now. It has to look out for the fire. It has to look out for a lot of the fighting type Pokemon like Poliwrath, Medicham. If it does run into those, you will be going down fairly quick. Yes, it has good defense, but it is not going to be able to just tank everything. And it also has great resistances for this cup as well. Like possibly Charm, Confusion users, it will be resisting those. All right, as far as anything else outside of PvP, maybe if you want to just max one out to drop in a gym for fun because this is, say, your favorite Pokemon or one of your favorite Pokemon. Sure, that sounds like a good idea, but also take note that people drop in those normal types and you will be weak to fighting. Coming in with those Machamp teams will just sweep it, so you really won't be giving them too much trouble. Anyways, taking a look at the battle, I do hit it with that Thunder, doing a good amount of damage. And I went for the Thunder because Power Whip would have done great, but I wanted to do even more damage with Thunder, in which we did. We didn't take that win there. And this is the trick. I went into all these battles and I had to use Ferrothorn, no matter what. I can use any other Pokemon that are eligible for the Sinister Cup, but I had to keep going with Ferrothorn. Pretty difficult because they kind of knew what I was using. You'll see the next opponent really picked up extremely quick and he walled me pretty good in the second battle. So take a look at how we can resist those charms. In comes Poliwrath. We're getting out of there. We do not want anything to do with any fighting moves with Ferrothorn. In comes my Poliwrath here. Dynamic Punch, Ice Punch. Contemplating if I want to go Power Punch, Dynamic Punch, or maybe even Hydro Pump and Dynamic Punch. We'll see. I would not reveal completely before I go to a tournament, but I am testing things out here. So Poliwrath is just an absolute solid pick. You already know that. This thing is a monster. Power Up Punch got nerfed. It's still not horrible, but yeah. In comes Ferrothorn. Now let's see what we have here. I think I need to shield this. In comes the Shadow Ball. Yes. Now comes the Steelix. All right, we're looking okay. We've seen this in the simulator. Let's go ahead and see what we can do here. We have our energy. It does a decent amount of, damage with Vine Whip. Or should I say Power Whip, sorry. And we hit it again. Now, Earthquake would probably take us out. It's not super effective, but it is going to be doing neutral damage, which is still going to hurt us quite a bit. Now we're stuck. Hits us with a Crunch, no problem. Now we're just going to try to take it out with quick moves or switch into Poliwrath and get defeated immediately. In comes the Gardevoir. We're going to hit it with Power Whip. Unfortunately, he still has a shield. We're so close to another Power Whip, but then he hits his charge and takes us down with Seeker Noise. Not very effective. That wouldn't have done that much damage, but we were so low anyways that he finished us off there. Good games. All right, moving on to the third round here. We had a great lead with that Poliwrath. He does switch into the Gardevoir, in which we're going to be putting in our Ferrothorn. Now we're in a good position. If he does hit us with Shadow Ball, it's going to hurt. He lets the Power Whip go through, and we almost take it out. Just one more Bullet Seed, and down it goes. In comes Bastiodon. Now, this can be a good situation, but most of the time, not so much. And I'm going to tell you why. Bastiodon, number one, is a tank. Number two, it has Flamethrower, our biggest weakness. And you're going to see how much it does do. I do believe I don't shield this. Possibly could have been a good idea, but I didn't. I wanted to preserve my shields. You're going to see I do finish with an extra shield, so I could have shielded that up. Now, in comes this Poliwrath. We're going to go ahead and go to Dynamic Punch. And then in comes our Alola Marowak here to absorb whatever he has. And that's going to be a Power Up Punch. It does have Bubble on that Poliwrath, so it is a bit of a threat. vamping up the damage from the bubble, doing super effective to our Marowak, hitting us with another power-up punch. We're going to go ahead and try to bait a shield out of him here, and it works. Very good. Now we're going to try to go for the Shadow Ball. Have to shield this up. We're going to barely survive since that bubble is doing so much damage now. Going for that Shadow Ball. Let's see if he lets it through, and he does. Fantastic. In comes Bastiodon. We're going to immediately switch into Poliwrath so it cannot gain energy. Hit it with the Dynamic Punch and take him out. Thank you for those battles and good games. On to our next opponent, Dark Matter Wolf. Very nice surprise for him to send me a battle invite. Let's see what he has to offer here. He's starting it off with Dusclops, and I'm going in with Poliwrath. This is an okay situation for me, and he knows that, so he switches into Slowbro, and I miss a golden opportunity to showcase Ferrothorn going up against it. Unfortunately, I did not do that, resisting the water, resisting the Psychic, as well as neutralizing the ice on the Ferrothorn. So missed opportunity, but that's okay. So just gonna move on here, baited out the shield. Let's see if we can let this get through. Nope, he shields it up using both of his shields. That is pretty good for us here. So obviously we're just gonna let this go down, and then we're just gonna come Ferrothorn here and try to finish it off with the quick moves, but he does switch into Marowak, in which he does have Fire Spin, not looking great. We're going to go ahead and just go for that Thunderbolt. Now, Acid Spray can be great and very useful as well. I just found it more interesting to run the Thunderbolt, or should I say Thunder, sorry, because in case I run into Drift Bloom, right? Or just to hit Poliwrath really hard, or specific situations like Marowak. Hit it hard with a neutral damage move instead of not very effective, or just hitting it with Acid Spray and then going Bullet Seed, which is not very effective, as well as Metal Claw, not very effective to the Alolan Marowak. In comes the Dusclops here, and let's see what we can do. He walled us hard this round. He figured out the Ferrothorn deal, and I was lucky he didn't go for the Fire Punch. That would have totally took me out. Let's see how much this Power Whip does do to that Dusclops here. Good amount of damage, looking great, and it does charge fairly fast, hitting us with Fire Punch, absolutely taking us out. Gonna go for that Ice Punch here, and we take the win, right? So this is the match here where he absolutely destroys me. Starting off with Haunter, he's going there with Dusclops. Now Haunter versus Dusclops, you're gonna have to burn a shield, and if you want to survive, you maybe could, almost, but more than likely you're just gonna have to use one shield, get off a Shadow Punch, get off another Shadow Punch, or maybe if you can sneak in a Shadow Ball if you're lucky, and they don't shield it, that would be a KO. So instead, I'm just going to burn both of his shields. We're going to keep a shield for ourselves and let the Haunter go down here. And then we're just going to come with Poliwrath and do as much as we can. He does switch into Medicham. As you can see, the Dusclops Fire Punch, Medicham, fighting moves, super effective on every end. And you're going to see the last Pokemon as well is going to be super effective to my Ferrothorn. So horrible situation. As you can see, the Dynamic Punch absolutely destroying it. So it's not so safe in this specific cup, but you can find usability if you find your opponent, throw them off guard with it, and they're like, whoa, Ferrothorn, what moves does this have again? I'm not too sure what they're going to do to me. That's pretty much the only situation. If they know what you're running on it and know how to handle Ferrothorn, then it's not going to be a threat to them, really, right? So we do take out that Dusclops here. We're going to just go Ice Punch. Nothing we can do at this point. We could go Dynamic Punch, but yeah, just going to Ice Punch it as much as we possibly can. Desperation, clawing our way to not being completely destroyed, I suppose. Yeah, so we still get it close. Get it into the red. Not bad. Poliwrath is such a beast. Going into the third round here. Starting it off with Claydol. He's going in there with Medicham, ready for that Ferrothorn. So this is a good situation for me. I know it does not have Ice Punch on his end because I've seen both of the moves, or I was predicting he might have Psychic. I didn't see them both yet. I knew it had Dynamic Punch. In comes the Marowak. We do switch into Poliwrath here. Not the best switch in, but kind of safe to some degree with Bubble. We're just going to go ahead and hit it up with Ice Punch as much as we can until we are dead. Right? And we're not burning a shield. We're going to let this Poliwrath go down. It did good amount of damage, and we're looking great. So definitely going to be coming with Claydol here, finishing it off with quick moves, getting a little bit more energy. In comes the Dusclops, so we're just going to go Earth Power, of course. Gyro Ball is for Drift Limbs. Pretty much, yeah, that's it. So he does hit us with that super effective there. We do retreat into Ferrothorn. At this point, it was basically just, you know, to absorb the damage, because I knew I was going to possibly lose this if I did not do this. So he has no more shields, so we're looking okay. He does switch into Medicham here, in which we're going to let it go down. Now the trick is to hit it with few confusions, gain a little bit more energy. He has no more shields. Now we're going to go for Earth Power, take out the Medicham, and we're almost to another Earth Power, and we're going to use our last shield. Perfect. We're just about ready for our next Earth Power here, and we get it. Fantastic. So Ferrothorn did play its position. I could have used it a little bit better, like the slow row incidents, but it's still good. Thank you for the battles, GG's, and appreciate the test runs. Okay, now final thoughts on Ferrothorn. Do you want to actually make one of these? Well, if you have the resources, have fun with it if you want to test it out. Don't expect some sort of magical wonder for you to start winning battles with it, because that's definitely not the case for the Sinister Cup. Possibly for the future, but there is no extreme rush to get it right now. I was a bit hard on Chandelure. It is fun. It is a good Pokemon to use and to have at least one right now. As far as Ferrothorn, it is going to be expensive, 75,000 candies for that secondary move. So it's all up to you if you really want to make that investment in something like that right now at this time, seeing that it is a fairly new Pokemon. So if you did enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends who may be interested in seeing how well Ferrothorn does fare in PvP regarding the Sinister Cup. As far as anything else outside of the Sinister Cup or future tournaments, it should and probably will have some good usability, seeing that its typing is absolutely fantastic. Only weak to fighting and fire and a ton of resistances, as well as a decent moveset, right? So if you enjoyed this, like I said, please give it a big thumbs up. And hopefully you learned a little bit something in this video. I'll be keeping you posted on anything Pokemon Go news, and I'll be catching you all next time. Take care.